Good morning everyone. I just wanted to pop on and do a quick review of Traveller's Rest Motorhome Park in Castlewellan. We stayed here for one night, just last night. It's a newly opened motorhome park. I think it's just been going a few months. And we decided we would come and give it a go because the reviews online were quite good. It was £15 for one night. You pay per fan. You don't have to pay extra for people in your fan. If you don't need electric hookup, it's only £10 for the night. So that's a very good thing about it. It's quite easy to find from Castlewellan. It's out beyond the country park, out the Dublin Road and up. It is, being new, it has beautiful toilets and shower block, really fancy. They smell good, they're clean. They have little jars in them with little cotton wool buds and wipes, and there's shower gel and stuff all in them. So it's well equipped. Payment is made with cash, so you have to bring cash with you, and it is like an honesty box system. So you just you put your money in an envelope with your name and your night stayed and your registration number. So when we pulled in, the first thing we noticed, we went to pull into one of the sites, and it's on a bit of a hill. It's on a slant. So one of the sites that we went to go on to, we realised that we were going to be sitting sort of like this, and we don't have any chucks, so we weren't able to level ourselves up. So that's something to be aware of. We ended up parking down at the very bottom of the site, and we've been quite badly exposed to the elements. I think really it's very open, and there are a lot of houses around, and I can show you here. Just, I'm not getting out because it's really windy out there, and that's sort of been a bit of a problem. It broke our windbreak, even though it's not actually forecast to be a lovely windy day. Obviously it's nothing like being in Stormisha last week. But there are, I don't know if I can lean forward here. You can see there's a house just down there. There's another house directly behind me. And there's another house up on the hill with a big window that sort of looks down onto the site. So you're sort of you're really overlooked. And really exposed to the elements. As I say, the windbreak, we have quite a good quality windbreak that we paid dear for, a proper camping one that we've been using for years. And actually the pole of it was completely bent, and it hit our fan and scratched the fan. So Mr. Squirrel has to fix that up this week again. It was quiet. It was a quiet site, which was good and maybe a little bit surprising because it's not manned, because there's nobody here. And sites that aren't manned, sometimes you can get people coming up, but I think it's just far enough off the beaten track that you don't have, or maybe just not well known enough that you don't have people, coming up and causing trouble. It's still quite uneven, it's quite unfinished. Now they advertise it as being disabled friendly, but I wouldn't necessarily go that far at the moment. I think it needs a lot of finishing. There are a lot of sort of, especially down where we are, there's a lot of rocks and stuff, just building like pavement bits. Now they do have piles of the gravel that they're obviously going to finish up the tracks on the roads and stuff, but it's very, very dark as well. at night. So whenever I got out to go to the bathrooms last night, I was quite nervous walking that I was going to trip on the rocks and the sort of just really uneven ground. I'll take some pictures of that later and add them on to the end of this. It's also, I mean, this is more a thing of the other campers rather than the owners themselves, but because there's nobody here full time, it's not being regulated. Our pitch, whenever we set up, there were quite a lot of dog mess around it, which obviously, I mean, that's something dog owners should be picking up after their own dogs. But if there were staff about, you know, they would have cleaned it and had it nice. It's not nice pulling up and then having to clean up somebody else's dog mess, so that you don't have it walked into your van. We also had a little visitor. Several times, yes. Being out camping, you're used to wildlife, obviously you're in nature, and you're used to having animals and stuff about. But something that I've never seen so blatantly on a site before is the rat that came and actually tried to join us for dinner. He actually just ran towards the fan. He was quite tame. He had no fear of us whatsoever, and he was running about the fan as we were trying to cook dinner and eat, and it was a little bit unsettling. And getting out at night as well into the dark and not knowing if he was sort of lurking was
you get rats bad reputation.
I think, to be honest, it was, if I turn this round to get over here, they've just moved off. As soon as I went to film them, they moved off. We have chickens and ducks, which seems quite nice, you know, to have the chickens and ducks beside you. But they do attract rodents. And Ratty was obviously helping himself to their dinner, and then he saw that we were eating and he thought, oh, I'll come over there.
He fancied steak.
He fancied some steak. Yeah, it was just, I mean, it's all sorts of things that it's not really, each thing individually probably wouldn't annoy us, but all the things combined, I wouldn't be in a hurry to come back, I don't think. Maybe, you know, they get themselves up and running properly and a little bit more established, it might be better. But yeah, I mean, it's cheap, it's somewhere to stop for the night, you definitely have good views. The other thing was that there was some controlled burning going on in the field beside us, which obviously that's part of what they do in the country here, it's what they have to do, but there was no warning about it. So we had been sitting watching a movie, we opened up the door and little squirrel just shouted, there's a fire, and we looked up and there were 3 separate fires in the field, like right next to the thing. And given the amount of wildfires that there have been in the Mourns and in these areas lately, it was a little bit kind of, is that being done safely, or is it an actual wildfire? You know, do we need to be packing up to run? And after last week with having to pack up because of the tornado, little squirrel was getting a little bit, he was like, well, whenever we come in this van, bad things always happen. You know, he was getting quite distressed about it. And then we, when we looked over, we were able to see that the guy was there, and we were able to try and sort of reassure him, but he still wasn't overly sure. So that was the other thing. But yes, it's cheap, it has good toilets. Oh, the electric kept, yeah, sorry, Mr. Squirrel is reminding me of the little bits I needed to put in. The electric kept tripping. I don't know if it's on a really low voltage or if we had a faulty thing. But when we were trying to cook our dinner, it was tripping, it kept going off, and we had to actually turn the griddle off in the end. We have camped in loads of different sites, and we have used the same equipment and never had any bothers. So whether it's just set lower than other sites, or whether, you know, it is, as I say, a fault, but it's quite inconvenient if you're trying to cook your dinner and it keeps going off. And we turned everything off, and we're just cooking at that point. and it still kept knocking off. So yes, so I'm gonna try again to give you the overview, and hopefully this time Mr. Squirrel won't interrupt me and start saying other things to me. So, cheap, good toilets, nice position, quite handy as well if you're doing a sort of a tour. You can go from here, you can go down to Newcastle, you can go up to, you know, more of Northern Ireland, you can go across the border and head down the other way. So yeah, that's all good. And the negatives, yeah, the rat, the dog mess, the electric problems, and the risk of fires and being exposed. Yeah, just not our favourite place. I wouldn't say don't use it. You know, it's definitely one, maybe in a year or so we'll come back and see how it's been finished off. But just be aware that it's a new site, and I think probably teething problems. It has a little bit to go. Okay.